we will now go to item 1 and open session. Oh, I guess I should report out from. So the report out from closed session is that there's no reportable action. And we will now go to open session. Item 1 is the consent agenda. Are there any members who would like to pull or comment on the consent item? Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on consent items? Anyone online? If not, I will close public comment and entertain a motion in a second.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So on the minutes, it showed that Marie Blankley was absent on February 9th. Wasn't she online?
She was here, I think, just for the city selection committee.
Okay.
I don't think she was here for the board.
She wasn't. I thought she was here for the whole thing. I don't.
She left. She left? Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for checking. There's a motion by Turner, Mark, and Larry. Second by Larry.
Mark and Larry.
I like being informal. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Oh, do we need to do? We need to do roll call. All right. Some of my other meetings are starting to just do ayes and nays, but I think we have someone online, right? So yes, we should do a roll call.
I will now call the roll. Ready?
Aye.
Rennie, I. Bybee. Aye. Bybee, I. Ku.
Yes.
Ku, I. Elahi.
Aye.
Elahi, I. Wilia. Aye. Wilia, I. Jimenez.
Aye.
Jimenez, I. Turner.
Aye.
Turner, I. Montano.
Yes.
Montano, I. Abakoga.
I
Abakoga, I. Watanabe.
I will abstain since I was absent.
Watanabe, absent. Way.
Aye.
Way, I. Meadows.
Aye.
Meadows, I. Klein.
Aye.
Klein, I. And Mock.
Aye.
Mock, I. With 13 ayes, the motion carries.
Thank you. I move on to item 2. My update, I have a couple items. The first one is our general membership meeting. We normally have it in May, and I was looking or thinking about topics and themes, and since sustainability came up as a big topic when we did our priorities, I'm interested in featuring that topic and in working with our Silicon Valley Clean Energy folks. Because of staffing issues, we just need a little bit more time, frankly, to plan the event. I'm hoping to make it fun too. I'm not gonna say what because if it doesn't work out, I don't want to disappoint. But because of just the need for more planning time, I was hoping we could move the meeting to June. June 8th would be the date, and I think last year it was in June when we did the Winchester Mystery House anyway. So if it's something that we actually have to vote on, so are there any questions or concerns about moving the meeting to June? Any members of the public wishing to comment? Then may I have a motion in a second? And if there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Elahi.
Aye.
Elahi, I. Watanabe. Watanabe, I. Klein.
Aye.
Klein, I. Rennie.
Aye.
Rennie, I. Bybee.
Aye.
Bybee, I. Turner.
Aye.
Turner, I. Ku.
Yes.
Ku, I. Way.
Aye.
Way, I. Abakoga. Abakoga, I. Jimenez.
Aye.
Jimenez, I. Lilia. Aye. Lilia, I. Meadows. Aye. Meadows, I. Montano. Aye. Montano, I. And Mock. Mock, I with 14 ayes. The motion carries.
Great, thank you. We will make it as interesting and fun as last year. No axe throwing though. We'll go on to item 2B, which is the general counsel contract with the Rennie Public Law Group that we discussed in closed session. I'd like to ask for approval of the contract. Are there any questions, comments from members? And then there is a copy here for the public if anyone would like to see a copy. And
I'll move approval. This is Jimenez.
Great, second. Thank you.
Comments?
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Anyone online?
There are none.
Could we get a roll call vote, please?
And that was seconded by Montano. Okay. Meadows. Aye. Meadows, I. Bybee. Aye. Bybee, I. Koo. Yes. Koo, I. Elahi.
Aye.
Elahi, I. Wilia. Aye. Wilia, I. Klein.
Aye.
Klein, I. Turner.
Aye.
Turner, I. Rennie.
Aye.
Rennie, I. Way. Aye. Way, I. Montano. Aye. Montano, I. Mock.
Aye.
Mock, I. Abakoga.
Aye.
Abakoga, I. Watanabe.
Aye.
Watanabe, I. And Jimenez.
Aye.
Jimenez, I. With 14 ayes, the motion carries.
Thank you. Going to item 5 of the Legislative Action Committee update.
Sure. So I'll do a quick update. The Legislation Action Committee met earlier today. We covered several things, one of which was a presentation from the Rennie Group, giving a quick overview of what's happened at the state level. And, you know, even with, I guess, coming back from COVID, a lot of bills out there. So we'll see how that comes out. You know, it's like there's over, 1,000 bills that conceivably are going through the legislature right now. That was a good kind of quick overview. 175 housing bills. One of the things that the Legislation Action Committee does is go through and conceivably take positions, and we'll do a certain number of bills every year that we take positions either supporting or opposing. We talked about 2 bills earlier tonight, Valley Water bills. So just for your own sake, AB 939, which would do financing for Valley Water, but also had a certain amount of changes for some sunsetting laws on how the board members get paid. It's a little bit of 2 things, and that was proposed by Pellerin. And then the other one is AB 1469 by Ash Kalra. It's on Valley Water, assisting unsheltered people. The LAC was in favor of at least the second bill. The first bill was a mixed bag because of the sunset clauses, I would say, more than anything else, because they're mixing 2 kind of issues. There were enough abstentions that we couldn't take a position on them, but a lot of the members decided they would go back to their councils and talk to him or talk to their city managers on whether or not they would take a stance at a future meeting. So those will be coming back at a future date, but right now it's trying to mainly monitor what's happening at the state level. And if there's specific bills that you're interested in from your cities, pass them to your LAC representatives or pass them to me, Auden Shali, and we'll be adding them to a future date of discussion. So that's a quick update.
That's the question.
Sure.
Okay, there you are.
So some of us in this room were at a meeting last week with Mayor Matt Mahan, and he is interested in a couple of bills, and I didn't bring materials with me. Do you remember? So there's one in specific, but it doesn't help if I can't remember the code.
It's the bill that basically allows, it's the big cities, bill to deal with, what is it called? Conservatorship, thank you very much.
You're right, we probably have an email. Well, there was 3 things he was interested in, and I don't, you're right, let's pull it up. So is that are his interests on your radar, which doesn't,
Not currently.
not currently, and they don't have to be, I'm
Right.
not suggesting they should be.
Right.
I just wanted to be sure that you were aware of that.
This was blight, police, and homelessness, right? I think there's 3 issues.
He had like 5 issues, but 3 bills.
Yeah, if you can give them to me after that.
3 Eggman is the.
Conservatorship? Yes, thank you. But yeah, so that's on my radar, whether or not we'll actually take a stand.
Exactly, I'm not suggesting
Allow
you
standpoint,
should, just
yeah.
wanted, since you were on the video,
Yeah.
that's right,
Yeah.
okay, good.
It's somewhere in my notes, but.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to remember all the numbers. Okay, good.
Any other comments? Sorry. Questions?
So we have all these 2000 prospective laws. There must be a website where I can do a PDF search on, if I had an interest in housing, for example, I could just punch up housing and all the prospective laws would come into play. It would be right in front of me and I would know.
I don't think that there's one specific on breaking them down into areas that I know of.
Important, though.
I does, maybe Cal Cities does it? Does anyone know?
So here's the deal.
You can bill search, but if you were throwing the word housing, you would catch housing, which you'd probably catch a whole bunch of other bills that it's like, well, public safety housing, and it's too general. So I don't know if there's any breakdown, because as the Rennie group was saying, it's like public safety, housing, unhoused issues, and let's say environment. There's lots of different bills, sustainability that are out there. I don't think that there's a good breakdown that I know of.
So there's perhaps 2,000 laws that may be passed during the year. Maybe we'll get 900 of them passed, and some of them are sunsetted in 5 years or whatever the time frame is. So the question is, how do we keep track of every single one of these laws? There must be 30,000 laws that we have on the books. How do we keep track?
That's a good question, because this is the ongoing issue that I'm still finding out bills that Governor Newsom signed in October and how they affect our cities. So, and that's just looking at what was signed September, October. So I think this is an ongoing issue that all of our cities have, of trying to figure out the implications, and then because you have thousands of bills, and there's this last minute push of either modification just before it goes to the governor's desk, before it, there's that last week of going through both going through the state legislature and having, the senators and the assembly members approve it. It's always, the modified wording, and then it goes to the governor's desk and he sits on it for another month and a half, and then finally decides to sign certain bills. There's nothing that's really good from that standpoint of the hundreds of bills that get signed that we know all the effects. Definitely there's big ticket items that this organization and other organizations focus on, but there are quite a few that I'll say go through that have unintended effects, that from a city standpoint, we're still figuring out how we would do that. It's like, for example, the AB 1439 that affects, contributions over $250 to your campaign starting on January 1st, that you would need to recuse yourself from that. Now, that's not just developers, that's also residents. So that could be misused in some ways and it's conceivably anybody who comes to, someone who comes and speaks in front of our councils quite a bit, and they give you $500, that's something that you conceivably, you could be used, that you need to recuse yourself on everything that person talks about, the way that bill is written. And you know, it was mainly meant to deal with developers, but the way it's written, it means anybody who advocates to you. So it's the unintended, you know, I talked to our city attorney and all that. There's no good way for council to even keep track of, you know, what development a specific person might be speaking on, or even keeping track of, they gave me $300 and all of a sudden they show up and I didn't even remember they gave me $300. So it's the unintended consequences of a lot of these bills that, you know, forget about every year. On a yearly basis, it's hard to even figure out what was approved last year. So I don't think that there's a good feel for that.
I'm asking for my own edification so that I can be more effective in my own role in my own city. But I do know that there are 175,000 bills potentially that may pass in the next year. And I'm just sort of thinking that I'm not going to have any real way of knowing what I'm doing, because I can be frank about this. I haven't read every law.
No way you would.
Many of those. California League of Cities have it broken down?
The California League of Cities focuses on a subset of ones that they really think that are affecting them.
But there's some in those categories that could be.
Yeah, so they focus, so the California League of Cities is probably the best general location to go to. So they break it down, you know, public safety, communication bills, you know, so they have a good breakdown. But even then, like the 175 bills, they'll probably focus on 30 of them or 40 of them. And the other ones are like, well, these might affect you, or they take an estimate that this one's overstepping and probably won't make it out of committee. So there's that sort of thing also that they will focus on, you know, it's like, oh, this specific, you know, Senator Wiener bill will most likely make it through committee to the floor now, and then it's whether or not how big it affects the specific cities in general. And so Cal Cities is good about that, but there isn't one be all end all to say, here's a breakdown of everything. But the California League of Cities website is probably the best place to go. And there's lots of subcommittees as far as that's concerned. Yeah, Sean.
Can I just, so I went to the city managers meeting yesterday, and Seth Miller from Cal Cities gave a little bit of an overview. There was like, Steve was there. It was like a really fast talking overview, but it was a very dense amount of slides with different bills and some of the ones that they're looking at. And if it would be of value to this group, I can forward that presentation to you so you can kind of see what bills they're looking at. Those are not their hot bills, but you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to mention, I was at that meeting. I actually oversee the county's intergovernmental affairs work. And which doesn't make me an expert on any of this, but I do know the Levine bill well. We are looking to have the county intergovernmental affairs staff work with staff in all of the cities so that we can be on the same page, and whether we're the county or, you know, various cities, we can use our legislative might in Sacramento. So I'm going to do an outreach to all your city managers tomorrow and you know, ask if anybody wants to be part of that. Already the city of San Jose and the county work together, and I think there's, you know, certainly interest in having a larger group so we can help be on top of this and be a resource for you.
I appreciate your interest, by the way. It's just that I am just not understanding everything that's being said, and I'd like to be in the know.
That's appreciated.
Would it be possible to include a CC, the mayors on the CC to the city manager list?
Sure.
So that we're aware that you've done that and we can follow up.
Happy to.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if this is what you're asking for, but there is a bill search site, leginfo.legislature.ca.gov, and you can look up a bill by bill number or just type in keyword housing, and that came up with 354 bills. So And then it lists all the bills, and you can go in and read each one if you want to. So, you know, there's that. Yeah, and I think so.
It really helps, by the way.
Yeah, it's a lot. I used to do this for a job to track some of these bills, and I mean, even as for full-time staff, it is a lot to do. But we do have, I think Steve and some of our cities that you heard from the Rennie, Dane from the Rennie group earlier in LAC. Mountain View brought him on, or the Rennie group on last year to be our consultant. So we just felt that it came to a point where it was important for us to be tracking these bills because they obviously directly affect us. From time to time, I think we can ask Dane to come back, or if he has questions, you know, we can field them to him. So yes, we can try to, you know, kind of put our resources, whatever resources, and I think that's what Steve is saying, is that we're trying to bring our resources together and coordinate better so we can actually have a larger voice in Sacramento.
Still not clear. So isn't this what the city's association is supposed to be doing, being a watchdog for some of these bills that, because our cities cannot afford to hire someone to keep a track of all these bills. So isn't this the body that is the watchdog to make sure that our cities are protected? Someone's watching out for us. I'm not sure. So, and is it, I know we have to hire somebody to, and it costs money. So how do we propose to do this? Because we are here to protect our cities, to make sure that that's why we're here. So how do we do it?
Yes, so yes, the LAC is really supposed to be that arm. I will say, if there's interest, and again, historically, you know, city association, I think, has tried to keep costs down for the cities. But we have talked in the past about, should we be hiring a lobbyist for our organization? There's challenges, of course, because all of our cities may not agree, right? But if there is that interest, and I do see, definitely, I will say, having the Rennie group has been, in my opinion, huge, very helpful. So I do see the worth of that. I think it's public that we pay $100,000 a year for them. So that's the kind of cost that we probably would be looking at. But if it's of interest, you know, we can certainly entertain it. But then again, it's a cost issue, so that would be factored into our fee. But
I think members here tonight can listen into LAC and see what sort of discussions happen there as a first step. I mean, that's available to all of us.
For 300 housing bills.
Well, no, they're not gonna cover.
Probably about 20.
Get through two of them.
Usually it's about 20 to 25 on a yearly basis that we really take a stance on. But as Rob was saying, it's the League of Cities that kind of highlights, these are the ones that are affecting our cities the most. And sometimes it's an easy sort of, we support this. And sometimes sometimes, you know, it's one of the assembly members or state senators that come here and say, you know, we'd really like, you know, a letter of support. You know, Margaret talked about bringing in other people to speak on what legislation they're doing. And sometimes it's, we need your support because I need to show letters from cities and organizations like yours to take to my, you know, across the aisle and to my other members and you know, the Assembly or the Senate on to try to help convince them that this is an important bill.
Comments or questions about that? Just definitely, you know, something to think about as we move forward, and we can always bring it back. More discussion.
Next year it'll be easier because ChatGPT might have caught up with it all.
10 times as many bills because they'll be writing bills.
So intelligence.
Thank you, Larry. We'll go on to item 6, Santa Clara City Managers Association update, Christina.
Yes, thank you. Christina Moore, Assistant City Manager for City of Mountain View. I'm here on behalf of City Manager Kimber McCarthy. As you just discussed, the city managers met yesterday. They received a presentation from the League of California Cities, as well as a presentation from the county about the Trauma Recovery Center services. And I believe Mr. Preminger is going to talk a little bit more about that presentation and share some information with you. Thank you.
I'm Steve Preminger. I'm the Director of Strategic and Intergovernmental Affairs for the county. Were you through with your report? Well, there's one thing I was going to say. We had an election for a new chair of our group, and Ed Shikata from Palo Alto won overwhelmingly with one nomination to be that person. So we're really excited to have that. The county is entering into a process to have a trauma recovery center discussion. And we had a presentation from a deputy county executive. We all live in fear of the next shooting, traumatic event. We've had several in this county. We know that they exist. So the county wants to be proactive and start figuring out what can we do to be better prepared for the inevitable horror that ensues. And so we are going to develop something to find, best practices, both to respond to a trauma, a shooting, or whatever, and try to work proactively to prevent these kinds of things. So we had a presentation yesterday from the county, and we have asked if we can do this presentation to all of you. I think you'll find it very engaging and something that, we all need to think about a little bit more. But for instance, in Gilroy, when the Garlic Festival shooting took place, having the ability to work with the local school district to set up a trauma center was really critical. In San Jose, when we had the VTA shooting, having the Red Cross available so we could take over their building was really important. Contrast that with the Half Moon Bay shootings last month or a couple of months ago. They didn't have any trauma response ability to get out there for a number of days. So people languished, victims, their families, and all that. The trauma was just that much more great. So we'd like to present to all of you. We're going to reach out to the School Boards Association and all the school superintendents as a result of Sally's thinking. That makes sense too, and it certainly does. So I just thought that was an important point to emphasize from our meeting yesterday.
Any questions? Any members of the public wishing to speak?
No public speakers.
We'll go on to item 7, is Executive Director's update.
Quietly conferring here. I don't have a staff report, but I just have some verbal updates for you all. So as I've been mentioning, we do want to schedule a workshop working effectively with your elected colleagues, city managers, and staff. This would be for all city council members, because effectively when you have new people on city council, you're a new team, right? So we're looking to schedule that. Our first choice trainer would be Kevin Duggan, but we're having some scheduling conflicts with Kevin. So we may have to find someone else, but we're looking at that last week in April. But more information will come, and I'll try to get on all of your calendars and your city council members' calendars and your city managers' calendars as soon as possible. And then I just want to let you know, next month we have our city selection committee meeting. We don't have as many appointments, I think, as we did. No? You don't have to tell me off the top of your head. With clearly not as many, but just FYI, just keep your eyes, all you mayors would be there, but just want to let you know that that's something that we're working on.
I'll be sending out the notification next week.
Yeah, okay, that's it for me.
Any questions? Any members of the public?
Oh, yeah. So is the city's, I assume the city's selection committee meeting is a public, I mean, is that under all the Brown Act stuff too? Okay, so I'll have to line up my alternate, hopefully. I won't be there.
So there was a little bit of confusion, and so I should, and Mary will correct me. Sure. But so all of the mayors of each of the city are the member, and if the mayor cannot come, they can designate someone to come on their behalf, but the person who comes on their behalf is not the member. Right.
So it's slightly
There's a little bit of confusion about that.
Do they
last
get to
month.
vote?
They do.
So it's slightly different than the bylaws of the association and
So it's not an alternate per se.
Right, okay. So under the government code, the city selection committee is the mayor's. And if the mayor can't make that meeting, then they can send somebody, they can designate somebody in their stead. But that person is not permanently a member of the city selection committee. They are just there in their stead for that particular meeting. The mayor remains the member because they are by statute the member.
And how early, if I can make it, how early do I need to make a notice? So do you need to make a notice or?
No,
No, nothing like
because
that.
the person can just be there. So for example, if you can't make it and you designate somebody else, Steve, to come in your stead, just for demonstration purposes, then when the roll is called, then whoever's designated on your behalf can say, I'm here on behalf of mayor.
And does that need to be a council member, vice mayor, or it could be anybody?
I will double check.
The only thing I will say is if your designee cannot make it, the designee cannot choose their designee. I think that's what happened last month, is that's where some of the confusion came. So the mayor would have to find another designee.
So this city selection committee, these are
It
additional.
does have to be
committees that-
another member of your city council.
Okay.
Additional committees that we did not get assigned the last time, is that correct?
Well, this is like a state it's governed by state statute. It's independent of the city's association. We administer it. We do all the administrative back end work for it, for lack of a better word. But it's a state mandated committee. So, and according to the state mandate, only city mayors can, or town mayors, I guess.
They make the appointments to the regional bodies, so, like.
Remember when you?
Yeah.
That was.
No, I think his question is how many open positions are there?
I can read those. So,
I already know, I'm just saying, we just did that last month, we're gonna do it again next month.
We only have 2 of those meetings a year.
Okay.
They have different terms, so we do some in January and then we.
That won't be here. I won't be here, so I'm just trying to make sure I know how to explain it to my alternate. Got it, okay.
Yes, same kind of process.
April 13th.
April 13th?
Yeah, it's April 13th.
So we, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We have an issue. We move our city council meeting to April 13th, so none of us could be here.
5:30.
Yeah, and, our council meeting goes from five.
We might discuss that, because
Okay.
I won't be here either, and I was going to talk to the vice
Okay.
chair to manage it. I could have somebody, I have no problem having my designee to attend, but I would not be here to chair the meeting, so.
I would just note that the clerk of the board of supervisors clerks that meeting also by statute. So you'll need to coordinate with the clerk of the board to make sure that there's somebody who can clerk your meeting. Because by statute, the clerk of the board has to be there.
The election committee, we've been.
So we can just miss it, is that a, which?
Then there would just be the clerk. Yeah, that's right.
But you need a quorum to make appointments, right?
You need a quorum, that's correct.
Sure. The appointments that are upcoming are for the Santa Clara County Emergency Operational Area Council. There's the West Valley Cities, Central County Cities, and North County Cities positions and their alternates expiring in June. And then for the Recycling, Waste and Reduction Commission, we have position for Central County, which currently Councilmember Watanabe is in, which expires in October. But you will.
The chair, for goodness sake.
Then a reappointment.
Put that in your argument.
And then we have another position that the member hasn't been attending for South County, and so they have asked us to appoint a new person. Yeah.
What's going on?
Member has not been attending, so maybe you are interested in it.
It's not a member from your city. I'm just like,
Well, names.
And
but you
April,
can see it on our website.
April 13th is also Cal City's City Summit. So,
That's where numbers are gonna be, I think.
so
So then should we not have our
we probably should,
board meeting?
we should, no, well,
Talk about it?
Last year, I remember a lot of us called in from Sacramento.
Okay. Oh, because you're on business anyway. You could do that.
You could notice, but you could notice a meeting room in Sacramento.
And then it, because it's official travel for your cities, we can use the Just Cause.
You need a quorum in person, so.
Okay.
So you might need to poll and figure out whether or not you can pull that off.
You'll let us know.
Maybe we could do
Well, the timing, I'm not confused on timing. We have selection and an LAC and board
We may
meeting.
not have the LAC.
Oh, you don't have a LAC. So you're gonna start with
5:30.
5:30. Or maybe minus to 6:45. I might still be able to start. So 5:36, when will last 6:30? Oh, no.
This should be about an hour. It should be, it's not as many as last time. Right? No, no. Yes, can you?
State the first or second, committees that are.
Yeah, so it's just to the Emergency Operational Area Council. All the positions are open. So for the West Valley cities and South County cities, it's 1 seat. For the Central County cities, it's 1 seat, and then the North County cities is another seat. So those are 3 seats and they're alternates. And then the Recycling, Waste and Reduction Commission, the Central County seat is open and the South County seat is open, expiring. I will send out a notice to all council members next week.
So I heard mention that certain things are state required. So city association is state required?
No.
No, what was state
The city
required?
selection committee.
City, so within the association, the city selection committee would be something that the state requires.
So the city selection committee exists through the government code. The city's association has long convened the city selection committee, but it's something that needs to happen regardless of whether or not a county has a cities association or something comparable. The city selection committee for any county that has more than one city is the mayors of the city. And they are the ones to make the appointments to all the regional bodies for which there are city members.
Thank you for the clarity. I just thought maybe association itself, the city association was a state, but no. Okay, very good, thank you.
One thing I wanted to say, I was hoping that if we finish a little early, if we could break up into our committees, just to informally, after we adjourn.
I have a question regarding the selection committee. Well, actually, the agencies, you know, that we select. So you mentioned the recycling committee. Our representative never shows up. So how do you deal with that? Is there an attendance record?
That's a committee that's a county committee, and they have a rule that if they don't show up for a certain number of consecutive meetings, then they have to request us to appoint someone. So most of the appointees are a regional body like MCC, ABAG, and then they have appointments and they ask the city selection committee, or for some of them, it's like in their bylaws that they have to have the city selection committee appointed.
Okay. Because I was told that our representative never shows up, so.
Yeah, so that's why they're asking for a new appointment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One question, do we have to do it in April? Should we look at moving it to May if there's a lot of?
Because it looks like some of these things don't expire till June. So I think we move into May, we still have enough time. Okay.
Any other questions, members of the public, online?
Yeah, none online.
Great, we can go to joys and challenges. Does anyone have joys or challenges to share?
I found that, the one that you were talking about, the Matt Mahan, it's, SB 363. And I was wondering if we can invite, him to come and speak on that too, so that way we can all know what he's proposing.
Well, it's not, it was proposed at a state level. And the city mayors actually did a big press conference saying, supporting the overall bill. Because, so I don't know, I wouldn't say Matt, but I'll talk to Zane in San Jose's office and see if he can come.
Or we could have maybe Zane even.
Yeah.
That would probably be a lack item. Anything else?
I have a joy. So just for those that don't know it, yeah, so our new city hall opens on the 20th. And you know, it'll be the first LEED platinum, but most importantly, net zero city hall in the US. And so we're looking forward to that. Staff moves in on the, you know, between the 16th and the 20th, but we'll have our big celebration in the fall after we've torn down the old city hall, the old annex, portable buildings, what we call the rabbit hutches. They were built in the 60s, and that'll open up 6 acres of open space. So the big celebration will be in the fall. So, you know, not until the fall. In the fall, there'll be lots of tours, but right now it's an active construction site and staff is still trying to unpack, you know, by the time we'll do a ribbon cutting the beginning of April, but it'll be pretty low key. But the big event will be in September.
Where is it?
It's our new city hall. It's basically where old city hall was, just north of there. So they built the 2 buildings side by side, and now tearing down the old buildings opens up that open space. You know, 4 stories. So it's 4 stories, and then you tear down all these 1-story buildings that are next to it.
Oh, that's how you gotta reclaim.
And underground parking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can you see how much it costs?
Overall, it was about with the addition onto public safety building and all that over, it was about 200 million. But it was about, because it happened under COVID, we ended up saving like about 50 million because of good timing of construction and everything else. So it actually worked out better for us than what the architects initially estimated it was going to be. But we sold land, we did, you know, some of it's the open space and paying by park mitigation fees. We had some ongoing, you know, construction costs. We have some long-term loans. They're being paid back. Nova, if you know about Nova, the North County workforce that is for North Santa Clara County as well as San Mateo. They have the first floor. So, or they have a portion of the first floor. So conceivably, as staff continues to grow, 20 years from now, we move Nova to a different location. But that was just potential for growth of staff also. But they're actually part of our building now too, because they were in the rabbit hutches across the street, which were rainy and which leaked and everything else. But yeah.
So when you say 200 million, does it include all the rebate, you know, whatever fund you get?
Yeah, so it's all there was a good article in the San Jose Spotlight last month, I think, which broke down cost, you know, had a good description that they work with city staff on. Yeah.
I'm very interested in because we're in the process of looking into something.
Yeah. And this was probably about a 10-year project to councils prioritize civic center modernization, you know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and then it was evaluated. We ended up having two completely different designs that we decided upon about 5 years ago. And then it rapidly moved forward during COVID. So.
Move to adjourn?
Actually, before you do that, we, I would call it a challenge more than a joy. We say goodbye this evening to Mary. Thank you so much for all of your assistance.
It's been wonderful working with you all. Nice to meet you all.
And Auden, this is her last meeting.
This is your last meeting too?
This is my last meeting and yeah, so staff doesn't usually share an update, but this association has been a joy and sometimes it's been a challenge, but mostly a joy. And so as much as I love file management and Zoom meeting operations, you know, I'm in this not for the money, I'm in this for, you know, as a survivor of sexual assault and just as someone who really cares about people as you all do, I'm in this to build more compassionate and evidence-based systems. And so I have a pretty cool boss, Supervisor Ellenberg. And so I'm excited to be able to devote more of my time and energy to that. And I know that the Cities Association is in very, very good hands with someone who really cares too, Shelley. So thank you all for these past several years.
Thank
Thank you.
Love, we asked you a question.
I'm just typing at the wrong time. It's my elected official skill I need to learn.
District, which is my district.
I hope we connect. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
It's been a pleasure. And with that, we can now adjourn. Thank you. Well, thank you all. Please drive safely. It's really bad out there.
Yeah, not need to hear that.